Is OnlyFans cheating?
My ex, I never wanted to see his phone because I knew if I looked through it, I would find something. And that right there is a red flag. You can go on Instagram now and TikTok and see nipples and buttholes and stuff. The weirdest thing I've gotten is like a lot of men like dick ratings and a lot of foot content.
Welcome to Cheaper Than Therapy's first episode. I'm Brooke Howden, and today we're going to be diving into an anonymous reader question about OnlyFans and infidelity. So naturally, I had to get some help from my friend Carly Lawrence, who you may recognize from Too Hot to Handle's second season or her very own OnlyFans account. Hey Carly, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
I am so excited. So today we have a doozy of a question from one of our readers. You know, as a newlywed, a duty aficionado from your days on Too Hot to Handle, and a content creator yourself on OnlyFans, I just knew that you'd be the perfect person to shed some light, chat about some boundaries when it comes to relationships. But before we get started, would you mind explaining, what OnlyFans is for anybody not living in the 21st century right now?
So OnlyFans is kind of like an Instagram, but you can post more like R-rated things. Some girls go full out nude, having sex, and then some girls keep it more PG-13, which is kind of more how I am, more bikini shots. You can also interact with your fans so they can pay to talk to you. Whereas with Instagram, sometimes you get a DM from a guy and you're like, I'm not getting paid to answer that. I'm not going to answer that. Whereas OnlyFans, you're like, you know what? We can chat. You're paying me some money, which sounds bad, but also time is valuable, especially when you're so busy. It is valuable. So I don't feel bad about saying that.
100%. And it's kind of this premium platform where you can post what you want to do. It can be explicit or not, like you said.
Exactly.
So let's open our question of the month and get into what we have going on here.
Do it.
Okay.
It's juicy.
It's a juicy one. It's a juicy one this month. Okay. Dear Brooke, is OnlyFans cheating? I, a 21 female, and my boyfriend, 23 male, have been together almost 3 years. I caught him on OnlyFans and he'd been paying for over 10 different girls' porn and talking to them over OnlyFans. He said he didn't realize it was cheating at first. He thought it was the same as paying for premium porn. When he realized it was wrong, he stopped months before I even knew. His last open messages confirm this. He acknowledges what he did was wrong. I just don't know how to feel. Would you consider this cheating?
Okay, so this is a tricky one. I am the one in my relationship that does OnlyFans and my partner doesn't. I'm going to put myself in kind of like his shoes. Does he find it cheating that I use OnlyFans? No. And the reason being is because it's like, that's where it's hard, because if someone's talking to you all day, maybe he did develop some sort of feelings, which kind of sucks to say, or maybe he is just going on to find, any girl that will answer at the time. So that's tricky. It really depends. I would say because, I know it sounds crazy, but because there's more than one girl, I find it less cheating. Because there's 10, it's like he's looking for more, he's looking for more sex than he is looking for a connection.
I do think that's an interesting perspective, because she does say that she was carrying on a conversation, with 10 individual people. And yeah. I think really for this question, what comes down to it for me is a conversation about boundaries. Because obviously people have different comfort levels when it comes to porn. Like me personally, I've never really had an issue if a partner wants to, watch porn or enjoy that, kind of explore their sexuality outside of a relationship. But they didn't have the conversation. And the fact that he feels bad made me kind of backtrack a little bit. I feel like you can speak to this and you already have a little bit, but being a content creator yourself, and some people, they do pay for extra messages and extra, different type of content and stuff like that. How in your relationship have you had those really honest conversations and been like, okay, these are my boundaries. This is what I do. What are you comfortable with?
So me and my husband, Bennett, we're very open, and he doesn't watch porn. Well, he hasn't since we started dating. So he is very, we also spend every waking second together. So it's a bit different. I feel like we're really rare in that sense, but he doesn't watch porn. And I try to think would it upset me if he watched porn? No. Would it upset me if he was talking to a girl on OnlyFans? Yes. But for our relationship, he doesn't mind that I do OnlyFans. Sometimes if I'm taking pictures or something, he's kind of like, you didn't send me those. You're sending those to other guys first. And I'm like, but do you want the same photos? So I'll take photos for him and then I'll take photos for OnlyFans. So I try to keep my business and my personal life separate, So maybe the pictures that guy was looking at aren't necessarily pictures that she would send to a lover. So it could be like that too. That's one way to look at it.
I feel like that's such an interesting perspective too. And for you personally, do you do messaging with people too on OnlyFans?
I do, but the thing is I don't, and that's another thing, I don't know how many men have girlfriends. I don't necessarily always ask, and maybe I just don't really care to know, because at the end of the day, it is a business for me. So it's not really my business, their personal life. But if he does feel guilty about it, that's kind of a bit weird, but also maybe he just actually cares about his girlfriend's feelings, which is rare as well, because most men would say, F you, I'm going to do what I want to do.
Yeah, for sure. And, when you're messaging people online, that's something that I've always been really curious about, is because, a relationship, regardless of what happens, like, especially when you're like talking about sexuality and, enjoying content like that, and within that industry and field, like, feelings do sometimes develop, sometimes they don't, not necessarily on the creator's end, but on the consumer's end. So, what's the weirdest request you've gotten? What do those conversations look like? And do you ever genuinely like find a connection where you're like, this is actually like not awful to talk to you?
Sometimes, you know what? The weirdest thing I've gotten is like a lot of men like dick ratings and a lot of foot content. So a lot of my content is actually my feet. Just like some career things that I want to go down. I don't necessarily know if having nude splattered on the internet of me would be that great for my career. So I'm holding off on doing that. Plus, like, I do other stuff to make money, so I don't need to do that yet. But a lot of my content is feet, which is great. And a lot of them want you to like degrade them, which I think is like a common kink. But like for me, I'm not like that. Like I'm like, you have to be obsessed with me or I don't like you. Yeah.
No, I would agree. I want somebody to say something nice to me.
Yeah, I want you to say something nice all day, every day, or yeah.
There you go. So do you find the conversations ever, get to a vulnerable or emotional place, or are they usually kind of within that kink and sexual realm?
So you know what, it depends, because say a girl had OnlyFans that maybe didn't have such a strong following, and the guys that were really messaging on her are people she knew, maybe that's more like a relationship type. But because a lot of guys that follow me or talk to me have maybe seen me on my show or just seen me on Instagram, it's kind of maybe like a made up picture in their head of who I am. Like they don't necessarily know who I am, so they can't really like me because they only know little parts of me, So it doesn't get to that point. Maybe to them, but a lot of the messages I get is like, I loved you on Too Hot to Handle, but it's like, well, again, that was like me 2 years ago. I've definitely changed since then. It's not necessarily who I am now.
No, most definitely. For your husband, does he have your password? Does he ever like read through the messages? Does he want to see that aspect? Where does that honesty and that trust come in there?
That's a good question. He has never asked to see my OnlyFans. He's never asked for my password, and he's never asked to see any pictures. But we also are very trusting, like extremely trusting. I don't cheat. I've never cheated, and he knows that's just not me at all.
Seems like this is like a really amazing relationship for you guys. And you're mentioning before, like you would never cheat. There's a lot of honesty in this relationship. And I think what we see in this question is that perhaps there aren't conversations going on or a miscommunication. And I think in this day and age, it's really easy to assume what monogamy is.
100%.
But it's different for each couple, like whether you're in a casual relationship where you see somebody every once in a while, a committed marriage or a fling, like each relationship has their own set of rules. And so for you, how do you go about defining those, being in the industry and just in your relationship right now?
So the crazy thing is, so my ex and my current partner, like they could not be more polar opposite. Whereas like my ex, I never wanted to see his phone because I knew if I looked through it, I would find something. And that right there is a red flag. And that's another thing I think people need to realize is like, if you're scared to ask your partner or look through their phone, which I'm not saying go through someone's phone, like you need to have your own privacy, but if you're scared to even ask to see it, that's probably not a good relationship. Because for me, if, my husband's on the toilet and he leaves his phone in the bath or whatever in the room and I go on it, I'm not scared to look through it. And if you're not having a conversation about that's a bit weird to me, because why would you want to live like in anxiety all the time with someone? Like our relationship, I think, should be pretty easygoing. I'm not saying there's never going to be hard times, but it should be a day to day. It should be, I trust you. I love you. I know you're not doing anything behind my back. And if you have an inkling that you want to talk to me about it, because it's normal. And I've said the same thing to my husband, years down the line, maybe we get kind of bored of each other. Maybe we'll talk about sleeping with other people, or maybe we'll talk about entertaining that. But talk to me about it, because the second you cheat on me or do something behind my back, the trust is gone and I'm gone. I'm not there.
And I think you're touching on such a specific thing too, because it's not necessarily the actions, like sometimes bringing in a partner or enjoying a sexual experience together can bring you closer. It's more so that dishonesty and that distrust versus the exclusivity factor.
100%. If you're hiding it, then you don't feel good about doing it. So if you're hiding something, you can't talk to your partner about it, then like, why are you in a relationship with someone? You should be in a relationship with someone that you can tell everything to. Well, not everything, but most things, especially your sexual desires. If you have weird kinks in bed, like, if you get to a place, you should be able to be open about that. Otherwise you're never going to be happy, because you're never going to be able to be your full self. I go both ways. And if I felt like I wanted to be with a girl, should talk to Bennett about that,
Most definitely. And I think like sexuality is such a spectrum. Like I'm bisexual too, so I totally feel like, and it's like you have to explore that part of yourself.
And he knows that. I told him that right when we first started getting together. I said, just so you know, this is what I like, what I don't like, who I like. This is my type, which is pretty much everyone. But
and I feel like I absolutely love that. And I feel like when we talk about female sexuality, it's so limited. And even in this question, that's something that I wanted to bring up is the gender kind of norms and what we see as like the men straying or looking somewhere else or fulfilling their sexuality when women have just as high of a sex drive. So I know you said that your husband doesn't look at porn, but like, do you subscribe to other OnlyFans people? Like, do you look at porn yourself?
I do subscribe to other OnlyFans, lots of my friends, but that's more just for like cheering them on type thing. I don't look at it. I actually don't watch porn either. We were in a hotel, we were just in Vegas and there was like porn channels and we're like, let's put on some porn and watch it together. And it wouldn't go through, but we were like, let's watch porn together. But we've also like created that where it's like, if we see a hot girl, I don't care to be like, that girl's hot. And he'd be like, yeah, like she's pretty, which he doesn't even say because he's like weird. Okay. Bennett is like a different species. So it's hard to comment because I went from a guy that looked at everyone to a guy that literally doesn't look at anyone.
That's awesome. And then, I feel like I do want to ask, has jealousy, especially being on OnlyFans and being kind of in that sexual realm, has it been an issue in previous relationships? And how did you deal with it then? Like maybe when you didn't have somebody like that?
So jealousy for the OnlyFans, no. Definitely jealousy on Instagram. I remember when the show came out, my ex definitely didn't like all of the DMs and the attention I was getting. But for now, no, OnlyFans really hasn't bugged my relationships ever. And I think that's because I've always been with people that know that it's a business side. I'm not doing it to like find love or, leave them for someone. It's more for me. It's like, I want other people to love my content and enjoy it on their end, not my end. I'm not enjoying anyone else's content. So no, I wouldn't say OnlyFans. But I mean, if I had a boyfriend that was going and messaging girls, yeah, I probably would hate it. If I really came down to it, I would not like it because I find OnlyFans more of a person, which is crazy because porn are still people too. But when you're really messaging someone and talking to them day in, day out, like that's a little bit more than when you're just going on and clicking the first top rated porn on Pornhub. You're really going to find that girl, subscribe to that message. Plus another thing is too, each message that is sent with a photo has a caption. So the guy knows what he's unlocking. So it'll say like, come watch me bounce on this. I don't say shit like this, but I know some girl, I'm not going to say who it is, does this. Come watch me bounce on this penis. Like he knows what he's paying for. Whereas with porn, sometimes you click on it and you don't know. Maybe it says cream pie. You don't know what the fuck's going on in the video. Whereas OnlyFans is a little bit more, what's going on. Like you know what you're paying for. You can also charge back. So if you're not happy with the content, you can get your money back.
Oh, that's super interesting. I feel like that would be an easy hack for people just to not pay for content.
OnlyFans is actually really good with that. They don't charge back everyone because if they can see that you've sent that, they won't charge it back.
That's good. And in terms of financial, because from listening to you and hearing how you're explaining it, like you obviously wouldn't want your husband looking at it because he would be a consumer, but for you as a creator, like this is a business for you. How lucrative is this? Like how much money can you make on OnlyFans a month right now?
So I'm not allowed to say ever how much I make. My management has always kept that very private. So, and I don't really ever talk about finances, but for me, when the show first came out, I never wanted an OnlyFans. Okay. I was like, no, I don't need to do it. I always have brand deals going on. I love fashion. That's what I'm really into, but I keep OnlyFans is like a passive income. Like I just have it, like I just think of it like it's going into my savings a month. I don't depend on OnlyFans. That's not my main income. That's what I'll say.
Not getting to specifics because I want to respect that boundary, but like for like specific requests, are they more money? Like if somebody's like, I want you to show me the soles of your feet, with, like sand on them.
I can tell you how much that would be. 100%. It depends on what they want. If they want a video, if they want like a strip tease, feet maybe like $25, but it also depends on the creator. Some girls may charge $5, whereas I'm really lazy in the sense that I'm really stuck at making content for OnlyFans and I'm working on it. So if I'm doing it, I'm like, it's got to be worth my time because $25 for me and to someone else might not be the same, So it just depends on who does it and what who it is.
For sure. And bringing it back to the question, I'm kind of wondering now, because if he was consistently grabbing content from people for months on ends and it was 10 different creators, how much money they were spending.
Well, and that's another thing too, because if a girl doesn't have an open profile and it's a paid subscription, he's paying for 10 girl subscriptions, which could be maybe like I'd say up to $10 a month for 10 girls, maybe $1,000 plus then the content, which hopefully it's not that much, but you never know.
Yeah, and I guess if they've been
$10 is common. $10 is common.
It's common. Do you find like do subscribers? Can you see if they subscribe to other people or like what's like an average? Like, is that an average amount, do you think, to be subscribed to, or is that like high or low?
Some girls have open, but that means that their messages would be more. So say like a girl charges $5, her messages might be 20. And then a girl that's open, her messages are 100. But I would say that's would be roughly, I'd say no more to $5 to $10. But lots of girls are open too. Some girls have two.
Some girls have two?
I had two. I had a free one and then a paid one, but I wasn't active on my free one, so I just stopped using it.
Yeah, so it kind of like incentivizes
you. It was too much. Yeah, exactly. It was too much to message on both, and then people got confused. So for me, it just wasn't like a thing to do.
I think that's fair. Yeah, it's definitely a lot of work, and I think like a lot of like emotional and physical labor, because you have to listen to people, what they're saying back. And sex work is literally the oldest industry. It's such hard work. It's such valid work. And yeah, OnlyFans can be a really hard job. So I can imagine like juggling two at one time.
Yeah, but that's another thing people don't realize, like I remember before I started my OnlyFans, my old roommate when I was in Canada had an OnlyFans, and I thought it was like just so easy. And I was like, this girl's like making money. And then I did it and I'm like, holy shit. Like I am, I do not want to sit around all day and take pictures. And also sometimes it can make you not feel the best about yourself, because it's like, I'm selling random armpits and feet, and does this make me feel good about myself? So it just, it can be really like, it can put you down, especially when guys are mean.
Do you feel like that's a reaction you get a lot, like where people are kind of going in with ill intent?
Not really, actually. I would say my fans are freaking great. Some of them know me from back home, so it's funny. And then some of them act like I know who they are when they message me, but they kind of act like there's because they can say fake names. So I'm like, I think I know who this person is, but they don't say it, but it's okay.
That's funny. Like we're talking about like people from high school, or they like slide into like your OnlyFans DMs, like my name's something else.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. I think I recognize what you're saying to me, or how do you know that about myself? But
and you're kind of like,
most people are nice. Most people are nice. Yeah,
that's good to hear. Yeah, you want to be treated nicely, especially when you're at work too. Like, end of the day, it's a job. You don't want to have to deal with rude customers, just like anybody in the service industry.
I'd block them.
But yeah, getting to this question, this girl has a tough decision to make here. So let's put it in your shoes. You're a creator. You have experienced both sides. If this was your husband, how would you feel?
So I wouldn't necessarily leave a relationship right away, because I think mistakes can happen, especially she said that she was 21 and he's 23. They are young. They're also new to the OnlyFans world. I think most people are. It hasn't been around that long. So it's definitely going to be a tricky thing to do. But I would say the best thing to do is, if it really bugs you, talk about it, which she should talk about it anyways. And ask like what made him kind of want to, like, is she maybe not fulfilling something sexually for him? Does he maybe have a really high sex drive and he doesn't want to necessarily bug her with that? Because maybe he feels like and I'm not taking any side, but maybe he feels like, I want to have sex all the time and I don't want to put this on my girlfriend, so I'm going to go and beat off somewhere else and beat off to someone, and it doesn't matter, and then go home to the person I really love. So maybe just talk about it, see why he's doing it. Am I not fulfilling a need? Is our sex like something that we need to work on? And kind of go from there, and then see how the conversation goes. But her asking if she can feel bad about it, it's normal to feel bad about it. I can get jealous just from my husband looking at another girl. Like that's a normal feeling. Like that's normal to feel like that. Any jealousy in a partner, like if you really love someone, like even someone sitting beside someone can make a girl jealous, like that's a normal thing, like especially with how the Instagram is and how the world is and how many girls there are naked online. Like you'd think Instagram would be a platform you'd go on and it wouldn't be like that. You can go on Instagram now and TikTok and see nipples and buttholes and stuff. There is no not seeing sex online.
Okay, I have never seen a butthole Instagram, but I'm keeping my eye out from now on.
I was tagged, or my friend sent me a TikTok of this girl's nipple that was out on TikTok, 2 of them. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Instagram, I think we definitely live in a culture where everything is very accessible in a way that it wasn't before.
Yeah.
Make it hard, because before, maybe there's passing you on the street.
Given.
Yeah, it's definitely a different world we live in. And I think specific to this question as well, when we bring it back, he did feel bad. He knew something was wrong. And she's looking. And he stopped. And, that confirmed it. So I think, it comes down to having a conversation really candidly about wants and desires and what's going on in their personal boundaries. But one thing, if she can't get over it, because, jealousy is a hell of a drug, especially it can breed insecurity, resentment, those negative feelings, which can really impact the foundation of a relationship. So if this is something she can't get over, do you have any advice, A, on how to get over it, or B, what to do if you can't?
Well, one thing to do is at least I would know like it's not in person. So that's at least a better thing. At least he wasn't leaving to go and actually have sex with someone. So that would make me feel a little bit better. But if I couldn't get over something, I would probably just leave, because also she is young. She hasn't been dating him extremely long. And if there's red flags too early on, it's a good indicator that red flags will happen later on. That's how I look at it. I've been in relationships where they started off really bad and they never got better. So
yeah, usually if you're seeing red, you gotta see a red. It's not changing color.
I agree with that. And some people just don't want to change, and you can't make someone want to change. If a man does not want to change, he will not change unless he wants to. It will take one person, but if it's not for you, then he will not.
I think those are really wise words, and I would agree with you there. And let's wrap it up. Let's give our cheap advice. So is this cheating? What do you think?
I would say half yes, 50-50. A little bit, because he did it behind her back.
Yeah, I think that's also what gets me. That's what makes it a gray zone for me as well.
He feels guilty.
Guilt. Yeah, because you knew you did something wrong if you feel guilt.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, I think we're in agreement on what her next steps should be. Have a conversation, figure out if there's something lacking in the relationship or a conversation that needs to be had, desires need to be expressed. See how you feel personally, try and move on. And if you can't,
cut the ties.
Yeah.
Start an OnlyFans and then make him subscribe.
Yes, and then start chatting with him.
And then get money from him and then say,
I love it. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us today, Carly. I appreciate it so much, and I definitely hope that this advice gets to our reader.
Thank you so much. Have such a good day. Thanks for having me. Bye.
This has been Cheaper Than Therapy with Brooke Howden and special guest Carly Lawrence. Tune in next month for another episode, and in the meantime, submit your own anonymous questions below. Bye!
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to our Narcity channel to see more content just like this.